You're watching One Fish, Two Fish, ROC. Yeah!
Hey there YouTube, One Fish, Two Fish, ROC. I wanted to welcome you to my latest DIY. Wondering what we're going to make tonight? Let me show you. We're going to be making one of these guys. Right here. The shrimp nest. I'm going to show you up close here. This is the shrimp nest with the Brazil moss in it that I got from Wild World Aquatics a few weeks ago. As you can see, it's very, very popular with the shrimp, and the Asian stonecats love to burrow down in this one. You can see shrimplets and adult shrimp. Everybody loves these things. Once in a while, one of my honeycomb cats will be hanging up in it too. This stuff is really, really grown well under the light that I have. I'm running a Finnex Stingray, excuse me. Okay, the materials that you're going to need to do this project are a coconut shell. And again, I will provide links to where I got all these different bits and pieces to do this. But anyways, you want a coconut shell. You got to be careful with these, but you're going to want some aquarium safe magnets. These are rather strong magnets, and they are coated in some type of plastic that makes them submersible and totally aquarium safe. And again, I will provide links for those. So you're going to want 2 of those, but you got to be careful because they will jump together and pinch your fingers if you're not careful. Scissors, a knife, super glue, and some moss. This is more of that beautiful Brazil moss that I got from Kyle of Wild World Aquatics. Just addicted to the stuff. Shrimp love it. A lot of my little Asian stone cats as well. You'll see that. If you didn't see that in the earlier clip, I'll show you again in a bit. Okay, so the last item you're going to need is some form of sponge, like a filter, a pre-filter, or a chunk of filter material. This just happens to be the large size pre-filter sponge that you can get from Aquarium Co-op. I had an extra one laying around, and again, I just kind of stumbled on this idea by chance. I noticed that this happened to fit a coconut shell almost perfectly. So here's how you'll go about doing this. I started cutting this already. You're going to want to get a slice of the sponge together. I have to be careful. The magnet will grab the knife. So you start out with just a slice of the material here. You're going to have some super glue, and I'm one of those people that ends up with as much super glue on my fingertips as I do the rest of the project. Okay, so what I do, I take some scissors and I just cut slots around the perimeter. It's not really the end of the world if you manage to cut all the way through. So what you're doing is you're creating areas where you're going to poke your bits of moss or, you know, tang, or plants, whatever it is you want to use. I'm going to cut some in between those from the center. Again, just randomly. No real rhyme or reason to it. Now you could just cut a regular disc of, you know, if you have one, just a chunk of sponge material, filter material. You could just, you know, obviously trace and cut a circular piece. This just happened to be something I had laying around that just happened to work really well. So what I do just to get started is, I'll demonstrate. I put one of the magnets inside, and I mean, you can see It's a good solid grip, and it works on the glass. So I just tuck one of those down on the inside. And then you're going to take this, you're going to kind of tuck it down in. Okay. Get yourself a decent fit. Take a little bit of adjusting. Okay. Once you kind of have it there, I just tack it into place in a few spots. You don't have to go a whole continuous bead of glue the whole way around. You just want to tack it. That way a snail or doesn't knock it loose, or you if you're doing a water change or what have you. So I just go ahead and put some little beads down around the outside here. Give it a couple minutes to set up. Alright. Just kind of get that going there. The other reason why you may not necessarily, especially if you're using a complete piece without a hole in the middle, the other reason why you don't want to go all the way around the outside is you want to be able to slip your finger down in there to maybe adjust the magnet. Sorry about that. As usual, the battery went out on me. So we're going to backtrack a moment. I was saying how it's not necessary to glue this thing continuously around the perimeter. Like I say, you want to give yourself, maybe a space to reach down and make an adjustment or get your magnet out or whatever. So anyways, you've got this thing tacked into your coconut shell now. So the next step is, let me see if I can get this here. You're going to take your moss. This is really simple to do, and it really works. I'll make an adjustment to the light here. Okay. You're going to take your moss. You're just going to break it up into little workable pieces, little branches. And all you're going to do is, you might need your tongs to do it. It just depends. Is you're just going to figure out, you're going to feel around till you find a slot, and you're just going to start tucking your moss into it. It'll take a little bit of patience. Just got to be willing to get it all tucked in there. You're going to get glue on your fingers if you're anything like me. And that's not the end of the world either. Just don't glue your fingers together. So just keep tucking it in wherever you've made a cut. And if you have to add a cut here or there, you can go ahead and go in with your knife or your scissors or whatever and do that. So you're just tucking this moss in. There. Find the gap here. So this is pretty much the process for attaching your moss. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, pause the camera, and I'll finish getting this one all all set up, and then I'll start it again when we're ready to do the next little step. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. So I have the majority of the moss tucked into this. Now I know this doesn't really look like much right now, but again, I'll revisit the one that I have in my 20 high, and you'll see how much it'll grow and fill in no time. I mean, a matter of maybe, I don't know, 3 weeks or so. I'll have to double check the date, but once it gets happy in here and it attaches, it really does grow really well. Now here's what I do with the middle of this if you are using something that has a hole in it. They typically, the ones that you do get from Aquarium Co-op, typically have that plug that you can put in it. So you could cut just a little piece of this, cut slits into it, and just tuck it down, into the middle here. But if you don't have that, you could just cut, you know, again, just a slit in the middle or whatever, tuck more moss down in it. So all I did in this case is I'm just going to go ahead and just, you know, cut another little chunk of it, and we'll go ahead and cut some slots into it. It'll be like our plug, if you will, here. And I'm going to go ahead and fill that up with some moss. It's just one of those nifty little things that it's worked out real well for me. I'd love to see it work out real well for some of you out there if you decide to try this. Alright, so just get that down into there. And add another little spot. And just nip it a little bit. Just enough to tuck little bits of moss in there. Okay. Alright, so we're just going to get all that situated. Then you're just going to take this piece and you're going to just tuck it right down in the middle. This also gives you the option if you do a hole or something in the middle with a plug. Again, that gives you the option. You could remove the plug if you had to retrieve something in there, or maybe put a second magnet in it, or, you know, for whatever reason you may need to access the inside of the shell. So really, that's it. Real simple. And like I say, I know it doesn't look like much now, but this surface happens to be a really, really good one for this moss to attach to and grow out. If anything falls loose, you just tuck it back in. That's where the patience comes in. So there you have it. Shrimp nest. I will go ahead again, pause the camera, and we'll get this thing installed in the tank. As you can see with a magnet, that's why you want to start with having the magnet in there. But now I'm ready to go ahead and attach this to my tank wall. Pretty cool, right? Alright, we'll pause it and we'll go ahead and get that in the tank, and I'll let you see. Alright, this is my 40 breeder, and I went ahead and I tucked this down in so it got submerged. You want to be really careful, obviously. You're going to you just want to be very, very careful that the magnet doesn't hit that glass too hard. The other thing you could do is just cut a little piece of felt or towel or something if you wanted to go ahead and protect the glass a little bit. But if you're real careful, you should be okay. So you're just going to do what I do, and you're going to drop the magnet. So you're going to kind of feel around till you feel it find the magnet on the inside. There you go. And I mean, you can shift it around a bit if you want. Again, another reason why you don't necessarily want to glue that. So it takes a little bit of fussing just to get it adjusted. But now you have it. Okay, this is the 40 breeder, and I have 4 new shrimp nests in here. So we'll go ahead and zoom in, plus I can give you a little bit of an update. You can see I've started adding fish. So we'll start on the left side. The left side has 2 that are made with the Brazil moss, which is my absolute favorite. As you can see, they're perking up already, doing well. They've been run over by various snails a few times, and so far so good. And again, if they knock a big piece out, I just grab it with tongs and tuck it back in. Right now, the fish that I currently have in the tank are some neon green tetras, some rummy nose tetras, And the most recent addition are, hopefully it'll focus in here. Let me show you. I'm zooming all over, I'm sorry. Some Von Rio tetras. Everybody's getting over the shy phase. They all school together really nicely, and then they break up into little groups and go off on explorations, and then they all meet up somewhere and they go back to schooling. So I think we're off to a good start. I'll be adding more over time. As many of you know, I added a bunch of these beautiful ram's horn snails from Bear's Fish, aptly nicknamed Coral Sunset. No, that's not an official name, it's more of a nickname that we gave it based on their colors. Here on the right hand side, I have two that I made. The one further back is made with some Bali moss, B-A-L-I, that I also got from Kyle's Wild World Aquatics, so thank you, Kyle. He gave me a little sample of that, so I made a shrimp nest out of that. And then some Sesfosser tang. And it never looks really good when I first do anything with it. It didn't look that great when I made the one that's in the 20 high either, but all of a sudden I'll notice that it's taken right off. So again, I'll show you the ones in the 20 high, and you can get an idea of what approximately 5 or 6 weeks of growth has done for them. So far, so good with the tank. I'm real happy with it so far. So yeah, there'll be some updates, and I'll keep y'all posted on this as it goes forward. Thanks for watching. All right, we are looking back at the 20 high. Once again, this is the Brazil moss. I made this roughly the first week of July, but in about 3 weeks or so I started noticing a difference, and it won't be too long before I actually may go ahead and trim this one just a little bit and propagate it onto something else. Now here in the background, you may have seen it in earlier videos, is, I'm going to have to move, there we go. This one is the Sesfosser tang. I know it's a little hard to see, but I had gone ahead and just tucked some random clippings, like I say, of the water wisteria in there. And as you can see, it's just taken off, and I'm going to go ahead and clip it back, and again, maybe I'll start another nest or a little planter or something with that. But the Sesfosser tang is taken to this really well, and once again, it's another very popular burrowing spot for both the cats, the little stone cats, and the shrimp. Just a quick aerial view. Sorry about the glare from the lights. Maybe I can push that back just a little bit. That is the Brazil moss. I absolutely, like I say, love this stuff. Just addicted. Now this one was the first one I made, and I had gone to the trouble of drilling a hole in the shell, which was hard to do because, I mean, these shells are very hard and I have limited workspace, but I managed to get a hole in there, and then I went ahead and inserted a suction cup into it. Now you could do that if you wanted, especially some of you with better tools and means of drilling holes, but the advantage again of the magnets is that you can move them easier if you want to clean your glass. You don't have to struggle with trying to peel a suction cup off the glass. So, you know, you can move them to get better light, you can move them down out of the light, shift them, you know, relocate them, whatever. I think the magnets definitely are, for me anyways, a much easier thing to deal with. So, yep. You're looking at a total of about 5 to 6 weeks growth here. Now just back up a little bit. Just may as well give you a quick view of a 20 high as it currently is. Honeycomb cats, of course, are going to hide until I bring out the bloodworms later. But I've got some glow light and gold tetras in here. Here are the plecos that I got from Lucky Schmuck. They continue to grow. Real happy with that. And the shrimp population is growing. And of course I have a bunch of the Asian stone cats. My couple of hatchet fish here. I hope to eventually get more, but for now they're doing okay. And an assortment of snails, also from Lucky Schmucks. So I'm pretty happy with this so far. The tank is finally taken off and I think we're doing okay with it. Thanks. Okay, those are the shrimp nests, and now you know how to make some for yourself. I hope you give it a shot, and yeah, go ahead and post comments or post and show off whatever it is you are able to come up with. I will post links to all of the supplies in the description below. Anyways, I want to say thanks for watching, and to all the newer subscribers, thanks for joining in. It's been great getting to know you all. So, I guess it's time to say thanks and goodbye.